What's the difference between history and story? Well, you're about to find out. Coming up. Hey friends, Teacher BAIXE here with another lesson for you because I'm here to help you talk to anyone, anytime. Well, anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Well, thank you so much for joining me on another English lesson. From Monday to Friday, I post different kinds of English lessons, grammar, vocabulary, phrasal verbs, idioms, all kinds of lessons because I really want to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So as usual, subscribe, become part of this nice family of English learners. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for trusting my work, for supporting me, for always coming back. I really appreciate all your support, okay? Anyways, difference between story and history or history and story. You know, this is a very common confusion English students make. You know, these are very popular words. Basically, history is connected to more factual information. It's academic. It's non-fiction. It's not a fiction story or something. Now, on the other hand, story is connected to imagination. All the places you go. To fiction, it's a narrative, okay? Now, let's focus on each one individually, okay? And this lesson is going to be pretty short because I'm going to be talking about the differences. Is it hot where I am? Yes, I'm dying. I'm burning. But I'm happy it's summer, you know? God is perfect. Now, history. First, very important aspect of history. There's no plural. It's uncountable. Okay? You don't tell me a history. No, there's no a history. It's history. Okay? It's an uncountable word. There's no plural. Uncountable. Now, history, as I said before, usually describes factual events. When I mean factual, things that really happened. Okay? It is usually academic. It's a word connected to academic pieces of information. Okay? Now, teacher, I had an accident 10 years ago. That's true. It happened. Okay, I will get to that. When I say factual events, I'm talking about events that are important to everybody. Okay? I know your accident is important for you, but as a whole, it's not really important for the rest of the world. So let's think of a factual event. Well, World War II. That kind of sucked, but it happened and it's a historical fact. Let's see what else. The independence of countries, the independence of the United States, the independence of Brazil, the independence of so many other countries. These are all factual events, okay? There are facts describing what happened. There are specific dates, specific actions that were taken. So that's a historical event, okay? So whenever I talk about World War II, well, you know, the first time you walked on the moon, the man, not me, because I have never walked on the moon. Maybe one day, who knows? Would you like to go to the moon? Let me know in the comments. I would like to go to the moon, but round trip. I would like to come back to Earth, okay? But I would definitely like to visit. Hey, yo! Anyways. The history of your country, you know, the beautiful things that have happened to your country, it's history. Or, you know, important events such as walking on the moon, these are all things considered part of history. Or when we transitioned from, oh man, I even forgot in Portuguese, I don't remember this. But there were some, the industrial period in our history, and then we transitioned to a different kind of market. So these are important things, important lessons, and important facts in history, okay? Now, story. Story is countable. You can tell me one story. You can tell me 2 stories. You can tell me 1,000,000 stories. And in many situations, a story could be something that didn't really happen. It could be something that happened. You know, let me tell you a story of when I was young and I got lost in New York. This is actually true. I got lost in New York. And on top of that, I cried. And on top of that, my English didn't help me. And I cried again. That's a real story, but it's not history. It's not relevant to the world. You know, it's not going to change the world that I cried in New York because I was lost and broke. It's not going to change. I was lost and broke, you know, in New York, but in New York. Anyways, so story can tell things that are true, that happened, or that may not have happened, okay? So Peter Pan, story. It's a story. Frozen, let it go, let it go. Now it's a different song. Into the unknown, yeah. I watched the movie. I went to the movie theater, and I went to the movie theater twice to watch Frozen with my niece and with my friend. What are we gonna do? I like Frozen. I have a child. You know, I'm a child at heart. Moving on. So story is countable, very important fact. Countable, you can use it in the plural, and you can describe stories that happened, that are true, you know, or stories that are not true. They don't really need to have happened. They can be fictional stories. Now, there are some moments when history and story can be used, okay? Now, for example, the Titanic. Well, if you were born in the 90s, you may not know this movie. But the 90s have many good movies. You should watch them. Now, the Titanic was a very famous movie that described a historical event. What was this historical event? Well, the Titanic was a ship, a cruise ship, and unfortunately, this ship sank. Bye, Titanic. Bye, Jack. Okay, watch the movie and you will understand. Anyways, so the Titanic is real. The story of the Titanic, it's a historical event. However, it's also a story. If you watch the movie brings some factual events, okay? So it does have some truth of a historical event of a very important ship called the Titanic that sank and killed many people. Many people died. It was a very, very sad historical event. However, when you watch the movie is not describing what really happened in history, but it's describing some aspects of the historical event. And while they do that, they also tell a story, a romantic story between 2 passengers, a rich passenger, and a poor passenger called Jack. I don't remember the name of the girl. Was it Rose? Do you know the name of the actress in the movie? You know, it was Jack, and was it Rose? Let me know. Old people, come on, join me. Let me know in the chat. Anyways, the next movie, the boy in the stripped pajamas. Oh, this is such a sad movie. Now, this movie is a story, okay? We don't know exactly what happened during the World War II. So most of this movie is non-fiction. You know, it's not a factual movie. However, it is based on a historical event of a very sad thing that happened during the war. Okay, so based on historical pieces of information, they created this story, this drama, this dramatic story. Now, it has some historical elements, but it's a story. Okay, so this could happen, maybe especially in movies. There are many historical movies that they don't describe a historical event perfectly. They have the non-factual parts. However, there are some parts of the movie that could show you a little bit of what happened during the time of the movie. So during the World War II, unfortunately, a few things happened, okay? Nice. So basically, to summarize here, history, chronological, 1950, 2000, 1941, 1935, chronological record of events of the past. Story, it's a narration of an event or series of events that could be true or pure fiction, okay? History, always factual. It is always telling you the truth or what we believe is true, okay? We have to think about that. So it's always factual. It is always going to present you with facts, okay? Now, story can be true or fictional. Some stories are partially true. Some stories are based on real stories, on real facts, okay? History always describes the past, things that happened. Now, a story can describe the past, the present, the future. We don't know. It's a story. You can use your imagination. The adjective of history is historical. Now, story doesn't have an adjective, okay? Simple like that. Now, are there any exceptions? In some situations, I can use history or I can use a story. Now, anecdotes. Anecdotes are stories that we tell about people, about our lives, about events. So in this case, maybe you could use history, but be careful, okay? Most of the time, story will be more appropriate. Biography, especially important people in the past, okay? For example, the history of a very famous scientist. What's his name? Einstein, you know? So Albert Einstein, his history, you know, the history of his life, that could be a very good example of a biography that is very important and really impacts the world. And it's true. You know, he really existed. He really did a lot of things. He was extremely intelligent, a very bright man who definitely changed the course of humanity, okay? Documentaries, definitely, depending on the documentary, you can say it's history or not a story. You could use both. And historical movies, they will have these elements of historical aspects, but they are not always 100% accurate because it's really hard to know exactly what happened, okay? Unless you work with history, you study history, then you may know something closer to the truth, okay? Excellent, my friends. Now I have a question for you. I don't know if you are into biographies, you know, movies describing historical events. Oops. But I would like to know, what's your favorite biography, book, or movie? Biography, book, or movie, okay? Let me know. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Make sure to share it with your friends and hit the like button. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow for another English lesson. Bye-bye.